A meeting at St. Regis Hotel in Abu Dhabi, as we hear in this report.
President Museveni has completed his 3-day working visit of the United Arab Emirates with a meeting of the Association of Ugandans living in the UAE. Major issues affecting them, notably trafficking, especially of girls, were discussed with the president, promising shelters and legislation.
Juzi twalichogerako mu lukiiko lwa gavumenti ne tukiriziganya okukola enyumba gy'oyogeddeko eya shelter. Tuteekewo shelter abaana gye basobola okubeera paid for by the government, abaana gye musobola kubakuumira, ekyo twakikiriziganyako. Ate n'ebiragiro byonna bagenda kubiteeka mu nkola twabiyisa.
The association chairperson Nsubuga Abdul Basit reminded the president of a 2014 $50,000 pledge to help with administrative functions. The president promised to deliver the pledge with a further $100,000 for a SACCO.
Emitwalo 5 yakudukanya kibiina. Emitwalo 10 ye ntobo
y'okwewola mu SACCO,
ku nsawo y'okutereka n'okwewola. Bas.
He reminded those with bigger business dreams that they are open to the Uganda Development Bank concessional loans to boost export-oriented trade.
Okay, now if you are big business people and you are exporting, then you need a different window. You not use the kasako of bazukurubanga abanakunaku. Kana kasako ka abanakunaku bange naye gwe mugagga nga gwe kati gwe tukuteeka mu UDB nti UDB ekuweeyo okuwola ukamagwa w'amasamusamu. You said you are a rich man, you?
Not yet there, but I'm on the way.
You are on the verge of poor and rich.
Ndiyo muhanda.
Olukunsala wawo.
Ndiyo muhanda ho.
Okay, kati naye gwe ono yetaaga UDB. Because export, UDB is a government bank funding industries, agriculture, export-oriented trade. So this one can be handled by UDB. Because there you may need more money. Not just in Kumitano, you may need $500,000, $1 million.
There are over 60,000 Ugandans living and working in the UAE, and they send home over $200 million per year.
John Bansentamu with that report there. Meanwhile, President Yoweri Museveni is due in the Ethiopian capital, Addis Ababa, for the swearing-in ceremony of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed for a new 5-year term in office. Now, the swearing-in ceremony is being held as part of the first day of the Ethiopian House of People's Representatives' new 5-year term. Abiy's ruling party, Prosperity Party, won a landslide victory in national elections held in June. Ahmed was first appointed as the country's prime minister in April 2018. President Museveni left Abu Dhabi earlier after a 3-day working visit during which he presided over celebrations of Uganda National Day at the Dubai Expo 2020 in Dubai, the United Arab Emirates. The president also met and held bilateral discussions with the Crown Prince and leader of Abu Dhabi, and also met the leader of Dubai in addition to meeting and wooing prospective investors. At Abu Dhabi International Airport, President Museveni was seen off by His Excellency Sheikh Shahmut Nahyan Al Nahyan, the Minister of State in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of the United Arab Emirates in charge of Africa. Others at the airport to see off the president were His Excellency Abdullah Al-Shamsi, the UAE ambassador to Uganda, the Foreign Affairs Minister General J.J. Odongo, Uganda's ambassador to the United Arab Emirates, Mr. Zake Kibedi, among others. The Prime Minister, Robina Nabanja, has visited Ntoroko district to assess the impact of floods on residents as well as find a timely and long-term solution to resettle the affected victims who were rendered homeless after Lake Albert reclaimed its territory. At least over 6,000 residents have been affected by the floods. Now, while addressing the residents, Premier Nabanja asserted that government will purchase land for the affected and empower the affected with finishing nets. Let's get more in this report.
All is not well for the residents of Ntoroko district, whose families have been swallowed by Lake Albert waters for close to a year now. Homes, schools, health centers and local government administration offices, land sites and markets, among others, were all submerged by floods. Without basic essentials like latrines and safe water for domestic use, residents are worried that there might be an outbreak of cholera.
We lost our chairperson LC3 Kanara, that was by the names of Honorable Biaruhanga Muhammad Yusuf, who was buried in Katanga, but before the floods. That was before the floods. But as I speak of now, the whole place is flooded. If they say you go and trace where the chairperson was buried, you cannot trace that area.
Nabanja traveled to the district to assess and strategize on how to assist the affected persons.
Imagine raising a child like this, the type of Ugandan you can raise. And therefore, I want to inform my fellow colleagues in cabinet and my fellow colleagues in parliament that these people, they are Ugandans and we must rescue them. Because anything can happen. I don't know how long they can stay like this. And that's why I wanted to use, or I will use the 5 billion that I got from the food relief to see people like this settle, and I will rescue them.
Later, the Premier went to Kajweka village, which is partially flooded, to interact with the area leadership. The Premier also empowered the affected victims who are having small-scale businesses with some finances. State Minister for Agriculture in charge of fisheries, Ms. Helena Doa, appealed to Premier Nabanja to intervene and prevail over marine officials to allow fishermen to sail their small boats for the time being as government strategizes for a long-lasting solution.
I have written asking the government to support me to buy these people 3 things: the nets, 180 nets per boat, and then the boat and an engine.
Abantu basemeye kubakwata nk'abantu. Abantu tebili musoro. Nobakwata mpora nobegesa mpora usayitera. Usayitsamba. Hati norore nyanja kanuka yeri kuma hata umuntu arabaina katoke alhamha. Lebi nyanze.
We are requesting with kindness if the government can gazette just 8 square kilometers. The 3 square kilometers will be for the resettlement plan for all these people who are hanging in water.
Future President. Echo sikisobola sagala kwewana. Ntumeta angetaka mwali bade mwalifuna ruli. And therefore I have directed my sister here Yakun knows namu mubade mundaba ku TV na tubale parliament okulaba nga tubale kirawa ne dwalire Kanala. Edwalire sente weziri milioni 8. Mukirize ngendo okunoonya sente okusinziira ku donors n'abalala tuzimbe essomero mangu before the children go to school.
The affected parishes are Rangara, Rechana, Kanara Town Council and Katanga. The sub-county has a population of about 7,976 persons, with 2,980 households affected. Helen Barbara.
Thanks, Helen Barbara Jizamba, for that report there. And of course, you had the Prime Minister promising to give some government support to those people that have been affected by flooding in Ntoroko. Now, police has revealed that reckless driving while on the road has spiked an increase in road traffic accidents, with over 1,000 cases registered in the month of September alone. An employee of driving license system has also been arrested for issuing permits fraudulently. And as we hear from Ivan Kahwa, a pastor in Jinja has been arrested for aggravated human trafficking days after government allowed for the resumption of places of worship.
Uganda Police Force has released statistics showing increased road accidents across the country. In the month of September 2021, 1,407 cases of road accidents were recorded. 229 people died on the roads. 1,054 people were injured.
The main cause of these accidents mostly was speeding and reckless driving. Especially when it comes to reckless, we look at the motorcycle riders. Therefore, the Directorate of Traffic and Road Safety warns drivers who have stubbornly continued to abuse the traffic laws by driving beyond the prescribed speed limits of the areas and of their vehicles.
On addressing road use anomalies, the Criminal Investigations Directorate is holding Jensen Serwada for fraudulently issuing driving licenses at a cost of 500,000 to 700,000 shillings.
He charges the money, he gives them fake introductory letters from non-existing driving schools. He also gives them non-existing medical documents. And the documents are entered in the system and the permit is given.
In another development, Uganda Police arrested Masiga Robert, a pastor at Christ the Answer Church based in Buwenge, Jinja, for aggravated human trafficking of more than 50 people, including a 3-year-old toddler.
We have to be very careful with whom we entrust our children, because pastors and people of God are people whom society respects a lot, and they know they are closer to God. And sometimes they manipulate, especially children. They can even say, Jesus sent me to you. God, in the name of God, they do all these, things.
At least 3 girls among the trafficked are reported pregnant, hailing from the districts of Luka, Tororo, and Buyengo.
Actually, the 17-year-old, the majority are under 15. We have 3, 4 years, 6 years, 11, 7, and 13. So that's the range.
The Criminal Investigations Directorate confirms the arrest of Isma Olaxes on charges of offensive communication and criminal libel.
It is so ugly to earn a living through blackmail. So for you to think you can earn a living or a name through blackmail and abusing, it is something we condemn. And we shall continue fighting it, but we also equally need your input as Ugandans.
Meanwhile, the Director Human Rights and Legal Services at Uganda Police Force is making an evaluation from the police point of view to present to the Attorney General for any possible reforms on bail, punishments for capital offenders and police bond. Ivan Kahwa, UBC News.
Thanks, Kawa, for that story there. And of course, you touched on bail. And our next story actually looks at that, where leaders of Forum for Democratic Change, FDC opposition party, have called on the public not to ignore previous issues like the Land Amendment Bill and jump on the new issue of bail, emphasizing that these are diversion strategies. Deputy spokesperson John Kiijanangoma told the media that the bail issue is not new, as we hear in this report.
Forum for Democratic Change Party has reacted to the presidential address on security on abolishing bail on capital offences. They say under Article 260 of the Constitution, the presumption of innocence as created by Article 28(3) of the 1995 Constitution, entrenched by Article 44C, can only be repealed or amended by a decision of the people of Uganda through a referendum. Unlike in 2011, when this issue was first raised, this time round FDC is happy that the issue of the referendum has been considered.
This is then, even through our lawyers, we reminded him that you can only amend this part of the Constitution through a referendum. That's why when he was mentioning it this time, he made it better by including that one, that even if it needs to go to referendum, I will go.
However, the problem FDC cites of denying bail is when the suspects are proved innocent at the end by court, and the compensation for their family in case one does not come out alive from prison.
These people were arrested, given bail, rearrested, driven to Museveni, charged with a new charge of killing someone who was non-existent. The DPP, after 5 years, withdrew the case that these people were innocent. During that period, Museveni was denied treatment, and all of you know what happened to him. He died. Now, what type of compensation can you give such a person?
Kiijanangoma warns the public that the bail discussion could be a diversion from the ongoing plans of amending the Land Act.
There's something deeper which you must look into seriously as Ugandans. It was in Wakiso, the other one was in Buikwe, the Prime Minister was in Chikube, and some other districts in Western Uganda. All of them are talking to people who are grieved in land. By the time we wake up tomorrow, it will be very difficult for you to resist this land amendment when he has already politicized the issue with the people who are suffering.
Meanwhile, FDC also says the Dubai Tourism and Technology Expo has not shown value for money.
I was head of marketing, and we were just making jokes with our and cash. We invested a lot in this. All they could show us was good entertainment. That there's nobody who is manning our pavilion. And this is criminal, I think.
I'm Nafka Farida and Annette Sana at Kiijanangoma.
Now, Ugandan legislators have welcomed the move by South Sudanese government to waive visa fees on Ugandan travelers. Now, the waiver is in reciprocity to a similar move by Uganda as announced by First Deputy Prime Minister Rebecca Alitwala Kadaga. Legislators from Uganda now want the two nations to agree. Henry Okrut gives us more.
On Friday, 1st October 2021, Uganda effected this announcement.
Effective 1st of October this year, the right of free access to Uganda, to citizens of South Sudan, will be implemented.
This was with expectation that the government of South Sudan would reciprocate. Coincidentally, South Sudan responded on the same day. Uganda was effecting its own waiver on South Sudanese traveling to the Pearl of Africa. In a statement dated 1st October 2021, South Sudan removed entry visa fees for Ugandan citizens into their country. This was to take effect from Monday, 4th October 2021. Members of Parliament from Uganda have welcomed the move.
What the government of Sudan has done, one, it's a good idea because now the flow of goods and services, to me, it will flow smoothly.
And when the business is boosted, of course it will mean increased incomes in as far as their household whatevers are concerned.
By this relaxation, we are going to boost up the trade among the two countries.
The MPs now want this implemented.
So it's not all that a moment of being excited until when we observe the situation And maybe we try to come to understand that what they could have agreed upon is put into effect.
But Tororo District Woman Member of Parliament Sarah Opendi is concerned that visa fees waiver is not enough without guaranteed security.
Because it's also important that as the people move freely, their security should also be guaranteed, and also on the Ugandan side, so that it can foster further the issue of trade amongst the two countries.
The waiver is in a bid to implement the decision of the 36th meeting of the Council of Ministers of the East African Community. The meeting ratified the protocol on the free movement of persons within the East African region. Henry Okrut, UBC.
The State Minister for ICT, Godfrey Kabyanga, has lashed out at a section of people fueling insurgencies in different parts of Kasese, hindering development in the region. The minister, accompanied by the Chief of Defence Forces, General Wilson Mbadi, held a meeting with the leaders in Kasese district to harmonize challenges hindering development.
Kasese district has for decades experienced insurgencies which has left the development in the area in wanting. The social, economic and political disunity has since worsened the development attempts. The leaders in the district have convened a meeting and engaged government officials to have a cemented approach to the vice.
As the people living in the Rwenzururu region.
The State Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Kabyanga Godfrey, says people with intentions of hindering the move will be punished.
We are going to push one agenda. We are going to unite in diversity. We have 3 MPs who are FDC, and we have 5 who are NRM leaning.
The Chief of Defence Forces, also chief guest, says there is need for a mindset change.
So that whatever we put in the heads of these people, we can remove it so that they start looking at the world in a different way than they have been looking at it, because it's what is responsible for some of the mistakes we have been doing here, and then we become unfriendly. And then we are treated differently.
A section of members of parliament in the district are concerned over persistent incarceration of the Rwenzururu king and his subjects, which they say is to affect the intended unity.
And we want to appeal to government that indeed at this point, government considers releasing the king, releasing the sons and daughters, the Rwenzururu who are in prison.
Because I am aware, with due respect to chief guests outside there, some of our people don't want to listen to development as long as the issue of Museveni is not resolved.
Now, the Joint Chief of Staff, Uganda People's Defence Forces, Major General Leopold Chanda, has flagged off the UPDF contingent to the East Africa Armed Forces to be hosted by Kenya. The flag-off ceremony was conducted and held at the Ministry of Defence headquarters in Mbuya. We have this story courtesy of Haruna Matesasira.
The aim of the 3rd East African UPDF contingent, comprised of 13 medical staff and 4 supporting staff, will be led by Brigadier General Emmanuel Rwashande, with the Colonel Dr. Ambrose Ojiko as deputy.
Experience in CIMIC activities, research and production, development, we shall be able to overcome this security challenge in the region.
During the designated period, contingent from Burundi, South Sudan, Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, and the host Kenya will engage in medical outreach services in different parts of Kenya.
The CIMIC activities are held under the spirit of the EAC protocol on cooperation in defense affairs, whose 4 pillars include military training, joint operations, technical cooperation, visits and exchange of information.
While presiding over the send-off, the Joint Chief of Staff, Major General Leopold Chanda, urged the contingent to be true ambassadors of Uganda.
Enhance civil-military cooperation, improve economic transformation, improve health, reduce poverty, conserve the environment, and ensure food security in order to win the hearts and minds of our people.
UPDF medics while in Kenya will operate from Ewaso Kedong Hospital in Kajiado County.
Flag you off to travel to Nairobi, Kenya for the East African Armed Forces Day and the CIMIC Activity Week. Carry Uganda's flag high, and I wish you a safe journey.
The first East African Community Civil Military Cooperation CIMIC Week activities were held in Uganda at Junior Staff College, Gaddafi Barracks in Jinja. Activities of Armed Forces Week will begin on 8th and 14th of October 2021 in Nairobi, Kenya. Haruna Mutesasira, UBC News, Kampala.
We'll now be taking a short break and we'll be returning with much more. Do stay with us.
I smile when I think of you, Uganda, my home. My home, I dance when I look at you, Uganda, my home. Oh, my Uganda.
I know, with you I'll always stay forever. I know, because I feel that we belong together, my home. My heart, mommy, oh my Uganda.
Hey, mama. At MTN, we look forward to starting another exciting journey together to grow our home, Uganda.
Vaccinated today so we can get closer to the normal way of life. Echa COVID-19 chija kugwa.
Uganda's only 100% 4G network and get 50% data bonus on all bundles purchased using Airtel Money. Visit the nearest Airtel shop with a valid national ID to buy a SIM card today. For business entities, please share an email with business.support@ug.airtel.com. Enjoy the best rates on calls, SMS, data, and Airtel Money across Uganda on your preferred number. Subject to availability. 50% data bonus is valid till 15th November 2021. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Airtel Uganda has the best and most affordable rates when it comes to withdrawing and sending money. Withdraw money for as low as 330 shillings up to a maximum of 12,500 shillings. Sending money is just as affordable as ever. Absolutely unbeatable. Use Airtel Money on the most affordable network with the largest network of Airtel Money branches in Uganda. Dial *185# to get started. Airtel Money. Simple, secure, borderless.
Welcome back from that short break, and this is News Tonight here on UBC TV. Warm welcome to those of you just joining us. Now, City Hall Magistrates Court has charged and remanded a businessman, Mutesa Darius, to Chitalia Government Prison on 2 charges of criminal trespass. He pleaded not guilty. Prosecution alleges that Mutesa Darius and others are still at large with intent to annoy and insult Makerere University management, entered land situated on plot 45 and 47 North Chitante Road.
Following his arrest by State House Anti-Corruption Unit last week, a businessman, Mutesa Darius, has been paraded before City Hall Magistrates Court for plea taking. The magistrate Valerian Tumuhimbi charged Mutesa Darius with 2 counts of criminal trespass. However, he pleaded not guilty to the alleged offences. Prosecution led by Viola Tusingire after charge informed court that inquiries are still ongoing in this matter, thus asking court for more time. The accused's counsel, Massa Dennis, prayed to court the accused to be granted bail.
We invite this honorable court to take judicial notice of the fact that Makerere University has had a long dispute with the residents in Katanga. The matters were adjudicated and determined by courts of law.
Prosecution contains that on 21st September 2021 at Makerere University Katanga village in Kampala district, with the intent to annoy Makerere University management, Mutesa Darius entered upon land composed of freehold, plot 47 North Chitintale Road, in possession of Makerere University and found supervising illegal construction on the said land.
Bwobanga okozesebwa nga tosobodde kujja kubanga ffe basobola okujjako amazima ffe nga abali ku ground nekitukoze bubi nnyo ntasobodde kujjako tujja kuba tetumugaanangako talina lwe yali atuwandiikidde ne tugaana tetulina lwe yali tumureceivinze mu office ne tumugoba.
Twagala kooti etuyambeko eteke kuninga ababefuula bakwasisa amateeka ng'abantu corruption unit ensonga z'ebibanja baleme ziyingiramu nakyekubiira baleme ziyingiramu nga bali ku side emoyo w'ettaka nga banyigiriza abantu abangi abali ku bibanja byabwe mu mateeka.
Hearing of the case will resume on 7th October 2021. Deborah Namamonde, Nantongo Rebecca, UBC News.
Now, parents need to prepare learners to change mindset from money making and prepare for studies. Now, when schools were closed during lockdown, many learners started making money through hawking and vending. But now the Minister of Education and Sports is encouraging parents to help children study at home instead of making and marketing vending.
With the announcement on reopening of schools after the COVID-19 lockdown, parents and learners must use the remaining period to prepare for school. Schools and universities were closed on 18th March 2020, sending home about 15 million learners to avert the spread of COVID-19. Government dispatched study materials to enable learners study at home as other institutions of higher learning adopted e-learning. But educationists still worry that if parents do not prepare the learners, this might result into increasing school dropouts rate.
Can you imagine a parent sending a child to sell tomatoes, to sell oranges, to sell mangoes? You are sending that child to the, I call them lions. Those people who don't want the futures of these girls. That's why we are getting pregnancies.
This was during the meeting of parents benefited in the Bamunanika Constituency Education Fund by Dr. John Chrysostom Moyingo, where over 10,000 students have been benefited. The personal assistant to the minister, Abdul Karim Waswa, reiterated the minister's commitment to support the underprivileged, youth, elderly, among others.
Atumye ng'akubiriza abazadde okulima olubimbi lwabwe ng'okulabirira abaana kubanga abaana bangi baweerera bafunye embuto naddala mu ggombolola y'ekamira.
Relatedly, this is the historical St. Stephen's Rutete Church of Uganda Archdeaconry in Ilwero Diocese, where Sir Daudi Chua and Frederick Ruwangura Mutesa attended prayers. The historical church in Buganda Kingdom is in a sorry state. The Archdeaconry wants it renovated, requiring over 33 million shillings.
And we are meeting with only 10 millions to complete the first project of Rutete landscape project. Then the second project will be church innovation. So we need to make sure that the picture of Rutete as a parish, as an archdeaconal headquarters.
Rutete Venerable Canon Godfrey Kasana commended Minister Muyingo for the tireless efforts to support the House of God and improving the education standards in the area.
To matters pertaining to water, where National Water and Sewerage Corporation is planning to implement a Know Your Customer program to curb illegal water connections in Kampala. Now, this follows a loss of over 2 billion shillings every month due to illegal water connections.
National Water and Sewerage Corporation will conduct impromptu operations in Kampala on illegal water connections.
Some customers also collaborate with our staff to alter meter readings. And this, of course, is having a huge impact on the revenue that the corporation would be expecting. Some national water staff also conniving with customers to change the tariff, where the tariff the customer is supposed to be on commercial, they connive with our staff, they put them on domestic, or even sometimes public standpipe tariff. And again, that has had an impact on our revenues.
The Executive Director, Engineer Silva Mugisha, says most of the illegal activities are abated by their staff.
Customer who would be caught in this, and the exercise is ongoing. Any customer who will be caught will be sanctioned in accordance with the law of the country. Now, when it comes to our collaborating staff, any staff who will be caught will be, again, his employment will be terminated in accordance with the Employment Act of Uganda.
The corporation will also implement a Know Your Customer Field program through house-to-house visits.
Some customers also collaborate with our staff to alter meter readings. And this, of course, is having a huge impact on the revenue that the corporation would be expecting. Some national water staff also conniving with customers to change the tariff, where the tariff the customer is supposed to be on commercial, they connive with our staff, they put them on domestic, or even sometimes public standpipe tariff. And again, that has had an impact on our revenues.
A strong water loss accountability and investigation framework that will deal with field problems has been established.
Getting GoTV was the best decision James has ever made. Finding a good place to watch football was never easy, but it was costly until James discovered something big. Now he can finally enjoy the benefits of homegrown advantage with a decoder and 1 month of GoTV Valley. For just 25,000 shillings, enjoy the world's biggest leagues and cup competitions. GoTV Uganda, love it.
These days, our homes are no longer just the places we live. It's where we attend meetings, go to class, keep each other safe, and entertain ourselves. To do this smoothly, you need a reliable internet connection. Connect your home online with MTN WakaNet Max, a fast and reliable home internet solution to power your streaming, gaming, online classes, work, and CCTV security cameras. The MTN WakaNet Max Starter Kit comes with a free 4G router, SIM card, and 35 GB bundle with no validity, all at 245,000 Uganda shillings. Visit any MTN service center to sign up.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
GoTV was the best decision James has ever made. Finding a good place to watch football was never easy, but it was costly until James discovered something big. Now he can finally enjoy the benefits of homegrown advantage with a decoder and 1 month of GoTV Valley. For just 25,000 shillings, enjoy the world's biggest leagues and cap competitions. GoTV Uganda, love it.
You know, you could just buy a new smartphone from anywhere in Uganda. Dial *175 *94 hash to activate their 100% double data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles for 3 months. Better yet, you automatically receive free 1 GB valid for 30 days. You are hooked already, aren't you? Enjoy a 100% double data bonus from Airtel. Buy a smartphone from anywhere in Uganda and insert an Airtel SIM card. Dial *175 *94 hash to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Dial *175 hash and select your preferred bundle to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Welcome back, and let's have a look at what's happening in the world of business. It's good news as Uganda Airlines has launched commercial operations to Dubai in the United Arab Emirates using the recently acquired Airbus A330. Flight UR444 departed Entebbe International Airport at 11 hours 55 for Dubai with 71 passengers, 30 tons of cargo, and was flagged off by State Minister for Transport Fred Byamukama. Amon Ngabo reports.
Uganda Airlines has kick-started the much-awaited long-haul commercial operations with a maiden flight departing Entebbe this Monday morning for Dubai in the UAE. State Minister for Transport Fred Byamukama, Permanent Secretary Minister of Works and Transport, and his counterpart from Finance graced the mini flagging off event at the airside.
I've loaded pineapples, oranges, and so many things. But what excited me when you see people buying oranges, buying pineapples, they bought them on the aircraft, take them to Dubai. That shows even the lowest person down there who cannot travel will benefit out of the person who is buying these, the exports, the agricultural products, and exports them. So you see, when you pay taxes, whether you're the lowest person, you can benefit at any time. Many Ugandans have got jobs, you have seen. Even this will market our country outside. Tourism will come quickly.
This inaugural flight had 71 passengers and 30 tons of cargo. The State Minister for Transport, Fred Byamukama, also highlighted that the airline will act as conduit in promotion of export from Uganda.
People to understand that this one is the infrastructure. Let's look at it as the infrastructure. Like you build a road, you facilitate people. You may not immediately make money out of it, you may not immediately make a profit, but we have invested in these aircraft as infrastructure to encourage people to move conveniently without unnecessary delays in transit, to attract tourists, to attract investors to come here, and also to fly our own flag.
The Permanent Secretary Minister of Works and Transport, Swabagea, noted that the launch to Dubai is a step closer to achieving all that was set out in the National Planning Authority's development plan. The authority's Director General promised to make sure that Uganda Airlines is treated and marketed as the Entebbe hub airline.
We are very, very, very well prepared for Uganda Airlines. Very. Both in terms of office accommodation, but also in acquiring a slots for its fleet of aircraft at Entebbe International Airport. Because this is a hubbing airline. Hubbing airline means it is the airlines of this airport. Just like Emirates is the airline of Dubai International Airport.
Uganda Airlines plans to fly to Dubai 3 times a week using the 2 Airbus craft. Ngabo Emon, reporting from the studio.
Makerere University College of Veterinary Medicine is training meat inspectors to improve Uganda's quality of meat. The principal, Makerere College of Veterinary Medicine, Professor Daud Kabasa, says abattoirs on animal handling are still wanting.
Uganda is among the beef exporting countries that needs to compete on the world market. This calls for a quality assurance. Veterinary doctors and meat inspectors too need to work smart to meet world market standards. During the meat inspectors training at Makerere University College of Veterinary Services, officials from Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industries and Fisheries decry corruption, which has led Uganda's products to be rejected on the world market.
It is not an issue of one person. It's not an issue of the farmer. It's not an issue of the extension person. We need to analyze the entire system and restructure ourselves, reorganize ourselves, put appropriate rules of the game, which will ensure that the product that comes out of Uganda meets the standard.
The head of Department of Biosecurity, Ecosystem and Veterinary at Makerere University, Dr. Clovis Kancha, says after the training they expect improvement in Uganda's meat.
Our focus today is that we need to re-engage and focus on the people who continuously monitor the problems of these zoonotic diseases within foods of animal origin.
The 2 weeks training is being attended by veterinary doctors, meat inspectors and abattoirs from different areas. Story compiled by Andrew Sebira for UBC News.
Tanzania and Uganda private sectors are forging new partnerships geared at enhancing national content and ensure in-country value retention in the oil and gas cross-border projects. Uganda's business community has been assured of modern and sufficient port infrastructure to facilitate importation and movement of equipment for oil and gas infrastructure development. Dennis Sigoa reports.
The multi-billion-dollar construction works of the East African crude oil pipeline is expected to commence in 2022. With this development comes massive business opportunities, especially in the transport and logistics sector.
Ugandans and Tanzanians have priority for goods and service provision. And national content in our agreements is determined whether it's a Tanzanian in Uganda or a Ugandan in Tanzania. We go to assess that as national content. The other aspect that we are looking at for the ECOP is to ensure that the required quality, health, safety, environmental, technical, and other standards for goods and services are procured within the two countries, because we do have the capacity and the personnel.
About 86,000 customized metallic pipes for crude oil exportation will be laid underground for at least 1,443 kilometers from the Albertine Graben in Uganda to the port of Tanga in Tanzania. On completion, the ECOP will be the longest heated pipeline in the world. The collaboration of Uganda's and Tanzania's private sector is therefore seen as timely in expediting the construction of the ECOP.
When we see these projects improving, then that means we are bonding and strengthening our relationships into developing the relationship, the trading, the intra-regional trade, which is very critical. And therefore, we are able to link through the Republic of Tanzania into Zambia and southwest of Tanzania into Lake Tanganyika. You know, we went there.
One thing that I have to point that is very important for both the regional players is the harmonization of border control.
On the sidelines of the signing of a collaborative partnership agreement for cross-border oil and gas projects in Kampala, Abdul Samad Abdurrahim, the chairman of the Association of Tanzania Oil and Gas Service Providers, persuaded Uganda's business community to fully utilize the Central Corridor.
Currently, the port of Dar es Salaam has gone a transformation. So in terms of the movement of goods, you saw recently we received 3,000 cars in one go. We receive the biggest ships in the world that are able now to receive the cargo, and also to disseminate in a very timely and professional manner.
The Private Sector Foundation Uganda, Uganda Chamber of Mines and Petroleum, and the Association of Tanzania Oil and Gas Service Providers committed to build synergies with a core purpose of fostering local joint ventures and in-country value retention. Dennis Igo for UBC News.
Elsewhere in the world, we go to the United Arab Emirates, where the pavilion of the United Arab Emirates, the host country of the ongoing Expo 2020 Dubai, is grabbing the spotlight with its novel design and cutting-edge technology. It is the largest pavilion of the Expo, covering an area of 15,000 square meters. The design of the pavilion is inspired by the falcon, the UAE's national bird. The 4-story pavilion adopts the design of the falcon wings to make the whole pavilion look like a flying falcon, expressing the ambition of the UAE for future development. The pavilion roof consists of 28 hydraulically driven wings that can adjust their angles according to the direction of the sun to ensure the wings open in 3 minutes.
More meaning now than ever, and our ceremony is very representative of that.
And finally, let's have a look at what's happening in the world of sport, where the national senior football team, the Cranes, is expected to travel to Rwanda Tuesday evening for the World Cup qualifier game against Amavubi Stars of Rwanda on Thursday. Currently, 6 of the 9 foreign-based players are already in camp. Let's get more in this report.
A pool of foreign-based Cranes players arrived in the country Sunday evening, joining camp ahead of the Cranes' travel for the game against the Amavubi Stars of Rwanda. Waiswa Moses, playing for Supersport United, Mreme Isaac, Watenga Ismail, Tadeo Lwanga and Khalida Ucho are among the players in camp. Those expected to arrive later include Fahad Bayo, Timothy Wani and Mustafa Kiza. Cranes play Amavubi Stars in their Group E World Cup qualifier game, both home and away.
We are now welcoming back Walusimbi, who had a slight knock on his knee, but I believe after today's session and probably tomorrow, we shall be getting a clearer picture of the shape of the players and the intention of what we are going to do.
First will be a game at Amahoro Stadium in Kigali on the 7th before the return leg at St. Mary's Stadium in Chitende. Cranes tactician Milton Micho, who once coached the Amavubi Stars at some point, believes his boys are in a better place to challenge. Cranes are third in group that has Mali, neighbors Kenya and Rwanda. Both Cranes and Amavubi have on several occasions played, creating a rivalry, and at this point, the game can go either way. Ngabo Emon reporting for UBC TV.
And we wish Uganda Cranes all the best in that upcoming World Cup qualifier against Amavubi Stars of Rwanda. To boxing now, where Uganda prodigious African heavyweight champion boxer Shafiq Kiwanuka is back in the gym getting ready for a non-title fight next week. Our sports reporter John Barnes sent with a detailed story.
After almost 2 years since his last action, Shafiq Kiijanangoma is getting shaped ahead of a non-title heavyweight contest.
Akaseera kano konna kabadde kawanvu nga tuwummudde mu covid naye omukisa gw'amaanyi gubadde guzze nga nfunye fight nga njala bategeeza bannayuganda nze mbadde nkola ng'era ebisomo biwagala.
Kiijanangoma will face South African Christopher Thompson in Tanzania at the Rising Star Championship.
Kiijanangoma babadde batuwadde omukisa gwa ABU Championship ku fight eno yennyini naye ne batugamba nti ffe nga Uganda emyaka ebiri tuli inactive, tetuli active, tebasobola kumutuwa straight kugenda Kiijanangoma kulwana title. Then kwe kutugamba nti kale kunze ne mbasaba batuweko fight yonna yonna.
The championship will have fighters from 6 countries including Kenya, USA and Democratic Republic of Congo. Kiijanangoma has in his short stint as a professional fought on 3 occasions, winning all with 2 knockouts already added to his name. He has beaten Kenya's David Kamala before engagements with Tyson Bakai and Samsung Dube, whom he beat to the WEF Africa heavyweight crown. In readiness for his upcoming contest, Kiijanangoma is camped at Centenary Park in Kampala under the watchful eye of his coach, Abdul Tebazarwa.
South Africa yajawo mu Africa nga bolaba Africa nga bwe South Africa abantu abasinga enzanya mutezanya tebazanya nga Abafirika nga aba European n'olwekyo kijja kulaba nti kimu kindo waggulu okusinga mu South Africa n'amuba.
The Rising Star Championship will also be attended by another Ugandan, John Serunjoji. John Barnes, Sentamu, reporting.
The Dance Sport Federation has continued its regional qualifiers with a visit to the central region. Now, this was at Kisubi Mapera Senior Secondary School and was exclusively reserved for participants from Wakiso and Kampala regions.
The latest edition of the Uganda Dance Sport Federation Dancing for Gold regional qualifiers has attracted a representation from Wakiso and Kampala regions. It was hosted at Kisubi Mapera SS and had close to 40 participants from both genders who left many impressed.
The response is 100% as we had planned. The turn-up is so good. Participants are here for the 2 regions, full capacity, and we are happy that they have really responded positively, and we can see the big girls and the big boys have the energy and what it takes for a sportsman to compete for such championships.
In the Kampala region boys section, Hamim Kasirivu edged Ronald Ndaula to the crown, while Ibrahim Kaida was unstoppable in the boys section from Wakiso region. In the women's Kampala region qualifier, Peace Nakubwa was the best after edging Amina Mbawadde in a closely contested final. There were a few questions about judges during this competition, but the Federation General Secretary Barnabas Sebuyungo explained rules of engagement.
In dance sport, we look at variety, technicality, and performativity.
And that story there by John Barnes Sentamo brings us to the end of this bulletin. Thank you so much for having kept us company all the way from 8 to now 9 p.m. And Elizabeth Nakakoni has been on sign language. I'm Rukidi Edward Kiijanangoma. We'll see you tomorrow, but let me leave you with Daphne Kawasita Nsamba with the weather prospects for tomorrow. Good night.
Levels are prevailed in most parts of our country this morning, but then later in the afternoon we had cloudy conditions with some areas having isolated rains. Thanks for tuning in to UBC. I'm Daphne Kavasita-Nsamba from Uganda National Meteorological Authority, taking you through the weather update. According to the report that received today, Kampala reported the highest amount of rainfall of 16.2 millimeters. Jinja we had 14.2 millimeters. Soroti and Kabale we had 3.4 millimeters. According to the satellite image over Africa, we see that the rain belt is still over our country. That's why we are having cloudy conditions and showers in most parts of Uganda. Tomorrow, we're expecting to start the day with sunny intervals in the northern part of our country and also western part of Uganda. In central and around Lake Victoria and also in Lake Victoria, we're expecting isolated rains. Later in the afternoon, we're expecting thunder rains in the western part of our country. Other parts of Uganda, we're expecting isolated rains. Temperatures expected to rise to 29 degrees Celsius in the northern part of Uganda. Around Lake Victoria, we're expecting temperatures to rise to 27. And then central part of Uganda, we're expecting temperatures to rise to 28 degrees Celsius. And then in Kabale, we're expecting temperatures to rise to 24 degrees Celsius. Going to Nairobi, we're expecting sunny intervals, and also in Dubai, with temperatures rising to 34 degrees Celsius. In Moscow, it's really cold. We're expecting cloudy conditions. Temperatures expected to rise to 9 degrees Celsius. And then in Paris and New York, we're expecting showers with temperatures rising to 21 degrees Celsius in New York. That's what we had in our store. Continue tuning in to UBC. I'm Daphne Kavasita-Nsamba.